All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are, January 24th, 2023. And this year's taken off like a rocket. Wow. So my name is Ken Close. I am a Healy board member as well as a technical engineer. Been with Healy for 3 years now. Seems like that's in three-dimensional years. In Healy years, it's about 25. So I'm super excited to be here, waiting for my quarter-decade watch with Healy. Thank you very much. So I'm joined here, by the way, by our head of operations, Jake Barron. Hi, Jake. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Ken. Hello, everyone.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we have a amazing customer service agent. Who is our mystery guest tonight?
We have the amazing Maghealy tonight.
Maghealy, yay, woohoo. Everybody give him a hello, Maghealy. Thanks for being here tonight to help us in the chat. So let me tell you guys that are new to Tech Tip Tuesday, this is a chat-based forum in which we take your questions from the chat. We bring them here live on the call and we unpack them, dissect them, solve them, and create complete clearance with that issue, right? Well, at least get really clear or close to a solution. So far, we've been pretty successful. What we can't do is we can't diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease, by the way, and we can't really give you any suggestions as to which programs or things like that for such. So just know we're working on technical things, operations things, some cool stuff. It usually is a fun call. So without any further ado, I say we get this party started, hey? Any questions, you guys? Let's see.
Yeah.
There's a greetings in there. Hello. Great conference at the summit. Thank you very much. I was honored to be invited as a guest to a summit that was held over the weekend. A lot of great speakers. Hopefully you guys, if you're interested in that, can find it throughout the social media channels. Some amazing stuff out there, guys. We draw in some super cool talent into Healy. I gotta say that the folks that are drawn to this technology, that are drawn to this ability, are of high caliber, high education, and high contribution. So, yay. All right. Wow. Is it kind of quiet out there, Jake? What's going on?
It's a little bit quiet, so maybe we can just get into some other topics for now. But reminder that for everyone, we have our What's Up Wednesday call tomorrow. We were off the last week because we have some other scheduling conflicts in the office, but we're back at it tomorrow. So make sure you tune in at 1 Eastern for that call. That's some important updates to go over there. So
we can't really go 2 weeks without having some pretty good size bits of information we need to share. So definitely be on that call tomorrow, you guys.
We got some questions here. So great. Linda is asking, was Deep Cycle taken out of the professional device? So no, I mean, that's Deep Cycle H. There's a difference, again, slight difference between Deep Cycle and Deep Cycle H. And Deep Cycle is what was available prior to, what was it, July 2021, I think is when it switched over to Deep Cycle H as part of the professional. But if you buy a professional device now, it still does come with Deep Cycle H. So
yeah, definitely. Some of you guys that are grandfathered in or some old timers, no reference to age anyone out there, but some of you guys been around a while. It's funny because when you say been around a while, 3 years is a long time in Healy, by the way. That's the originals. But Deep Cycle was the original program group page name. Now it's Deep Cycle H. So yeah, but it's there. It's on the professionals. Okay, let's see. Can't access the Healy advisor system. Is there an issue? I have not tapped into mine today, but I know that there was I can't remember, a couple of days ago, there was a maintenance.
No, I've logged into both the Analyze app and the regular Heal Advisor app today. I had no issues at all. I haven't heard of anyone reporting any issues. So yeah,
and I just logged in and it opened up flawlessly. Now let's talk about a little bit about some of the contributing factors to what may cause it not to be. It's not anything with the server, but something with perhaps your device or something locally within your system. So first of all, updates are kind of the critical thing, making sure that not only you're using the latest software, or I should say app version, but also the operating system on your smart device, whether it's Android or iOS, making sure your updates are proper and up to date. I also want to make sure that, because we're dealing with things that use up memory, that are memory, they use the processor on your device to access memory locations, store certain content, that kind of thing, making sure that your smart device has a minimum of 25% of its memory allocations left over. Some people have a lot of pictures and videos and apps and things on their smart device, and the memory resources are low. That's going to have an influence not only just on the Heal Advisor, but on the Heal Advisor Analyze and the Healy app function. So these are things in which all apps, not just Healy, but all apps use the resources on your smart device to function. And so it needs a certain percentage of the resources to do that job.
Yeah, and if you could put into the chat just to confirm if you're talking about just the Heal Advisor app where the search module lives, or the Heal Advisor Analyze app. Just curious if you're having issues with one or the other, or both.
Yeah, they are. If there's an issue with logging into one, sometimes there's issue with the other.
Yeah.
If it's your local concerns, if it's something to do with local, maybe login information, your devices.
Yeah, so there was a comment put into the chat here about, or a tip actually, about turning off the VPN and clearing the cache, which are great tips as well, especially the VPN issue. If you're trying to log into the Analyze app via VPN, you're not going to be able. There's an issue with that, being able to access your cloud. And I know Miguel was on this call, and he's helped many people through this VPN issue. But turning that VPN off, if that's it could be the issue that you're facing. But if you turn that off, you should be able to log right in.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Lindley says that I bought my professional just before Resonance Plus came out, and Deep Cycle H is not there. So, yeah, I mean, date wise, if it was after that July, I think it's like July 7th of 2021, there was a transition.
Yeah, and Miguel put that note into the chat right above that. So Deep Cycle was available prior to July 7, 2021, and then Deep Cycle H was added to the professional edition after April 12th, 2022. So if you're in that window in between, that's one of the professional. Deep Cycle H wasn't included in that professional edition at the time, and has been for the last what is this, nine months or so, since April 2022. And yeah, what is available on professional in general is what's available or included with it at the time of purchase. So as other programs are added, new modules are added, doesn't necessarily mean that the professional edition is going to be updated or matched to the new one. Just like some of the old Resonance devices might come with more than the current Resonance, or more comparable to the Resonance Plus. We don't downgrade those devices just because the features and things have changed. It kind of sticks with, you're grandfathered in with whatever whatever it came with at the time.
Yeah, you know, if I remember right, there was a substitution or an addition there to that in that window to the professional. And I can't remember the page. Was it well-being or what was it? I can't recall now. Sorry. It seems like there was some in there that they got that nobody else got.
Yeah, I don't remember now if it was the power of 3 or if it was something else or
there was something in there. And sorry, folks, I can't recall what that was.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marjorie is saying that it's the Heal Advisor. Okay, so the Heal Advisor you're not able to log into. Again, there's,
in that case, I would definitely try the clearing the app cache. That usually fixes that issue for most people. And Miguel, if you do get a chance, maybe you can just put those steps into the chat on how to do that for her.
Also, by the way, folks, there is a amazing biohack thing called YouTube that if you don't know how to do something, you can actually go to YouTube and say, how do I clear cache on my Android or on my, Apple device?
Although she just put an update in here, she's in now, but she had to re-enter her login data and update the app. So yeah, that's another thing too, is it's important to keep your apps updated to the most current version. Some of the apps you can set it to auto update. Some of the other ones not necessarily. And some people have that setting turned on, some people don't have it turned on. So it's good to every once in a while just check to see if there's any updates available for Healy apps.
And a shortcut for doing that, folks, is to just go to your app store. Go to your app store, open the app from your app store, whatever app you're trying to get into, open it from the app store, and you'll see when you go there and you find it, it'll have a little word that says open, little blue oval circle, or it'll say update. And even if it says open, sometimes you click on the open and it'll pop over to a screen showing you version or revision history. And that means usually when you see a revision history, like, the dates and the version numbers and certain things that it actually changed or shifted within those revisions, that's an indication that there was an update performed, and you're going to be then opening the latest version. So that's just a little hack.
Well, again, another update to that, looks like she had to update maybe her iOS. She had a new Apple update. So again, that's another one of the things that you mentioned a lot, Ken, is that to keep not only your Healy apps updated, make sure you're running the current operating system as well, whether it's on Apple or Android too.
So all apps, by the way, folks, are created for the current operating systems within these smart devices. And it makes sense, right? Because if you're an app designer, you're going to want the latest and greatest devices to be able to run your product. So eventually, what happens is these products that are old, these smart devices that are old. I mean, when I say old, that's 5 years. That's pretty old. Sometimes they're going to be obsolete and they're not going to run the apps anymore because they won't run the most current operating system. That's what makes them essentially the hardware becomes obsolete because it won't run the current version of the software. And I've got some old smart devices that I can't run I can run my Pink Dot or my Healy app, my microcurrent, but the Blue Dot, which is more sophisticated in its needs, won't function. So just know, I believe still the lowest minimum operating system with the Apple, actually both, I believe is version 11. So, so you're probably pretty good. And then again, like I mentioned, keeping track of your resources. I find that a common issue where people have a lot of pictures, videos, apps, and the memory resources are too low on their smart device. And you're going to have some other symptoms, by the way. It's not going to be just your Healy. I mean, even your text app might start getting glitchy, slow down, or when you're typing, all of a sudden the screen freezes and it doesn't propagate and update what you're actually typing, and then all of a sudden it catches up. Just odd little things like that, that's because there's not enough memory to buffer the content between you tapping on the screen and the display showing what you're doing. So, and Healy is a resource hungry system, so it needs resources. Another thing to keep in mind is how many apps are you running in the background? I say this often. Hard closing all the apps in the background helps to free up resources for the Healy app in the foreground. So how many of you guys know how to hard close an app? If you don't, I promise you, you have a lot running in the background. You can go to YouTube, take a look at how do I hard close, not just swipe away, but hard close an app in the background. Take a look.
Yep. I would say from my experience, almost half of the people we work with don't know how to hard close the app. So it is important. So.
It's common. It's common. I remember on the road show, trying to load apps on some of the smart devices. And I said, man, there's just no room. It's not loading. It's taking forever. It's not working. Something's going on. And I asked the customer, I said, hey, can you hard close the apps in your background? He's like, what? Like, okay. So we take a look in the background. Like, oh, here's how you do it. You swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. He's out there for a few minutes, swiping. That's a lot of things going on in the background. Okay. All right. So let's see. Gosh, it's a quiet crowd, Jake.
It's going to be a busy second half of the call. So let's see.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, there's a question from Sherry. She was asking. So I have a Healy advisor. I think she's meaning she has at least a residence edition or higher, and she was able to scan all the above options to see the 5 best options. This option isn't available any longer, and it's like she recently did a system update. So I think what she's asking is that she normally would do all Healy programs scan, where it gives you the top 5 program groups to look at, and she is not able to do that anymore. So, and she recently did a system update. So I have not heard of this particular issue before, not being able to see the results from a scan as far as the top 5. So I'm wondering, Sherry, if you could put into the chat, if you're on Apple or Android, did you do an Apple update, or did you do an update to the Healy Advisor app, or what was the moment where this changed? So.
And also too, if kind of the question is leading into you were able to do the scan, right? And the results didn't show up. I mean, if that's the case, I don't know if you're able to actually choose. It says here, let me read it again. And was able to scan all the above options to see what 5 best options. Okay, this option isn't available any longer. Okay, so an automatic function of the resonance scan is that once you choose a database, it then, once you start that analysis, it automatically picks the top 5 within the database of your selection. If that's not happening, for some reason, it's not picking the top 5, then I'm concerned about the actual integrity of the program, of the app itself, because that's a built-in function within the software. Yeah. So again, integrity of the app means I have had the apps actually get corrupted because of, again, low memory content, or opening and closing the app multiple times, and some portion of the software. Again, I'm referring to the app. I'm referring to it as software. It is a program. Some portion of the program gets compromised somehow, written over within the memory of your smart device. And then that function that was written over no longer performs correctly. And the only way to rectify that is by, again, opening it from your app store to try to bring in a fresh copy, or deleting the app and reinstalling the app from your app store. Remember, anytime that you delete an app, you should shut your smart device all the way off. shut it off. That way it clears everything. You turn it back on. The app, new version of the app has new connective points to the various functions of the CPU and resources, and you're back in business. So I don't know what's going on in the background. Maybe Sherry give us a little more detail. And now remember, folks, if you delete the Healy app, which is this one right above my shoulder here, the Healy app, or if you're still using the old Pink Dot app, by the way, folks, you need to switch over. It's just time, right? The new app is awesome. It's great. It takes a little getting used to, but there's training on it. Jake's done some Healy for Beginners and Beyond stuff to give some details on how it functions. Lots of stuff that's available there. So definitely switch over to this new app. The resources that are available on your smart device are more critical when you're running the Blue Dot, the availability of those resources, as opposed to the Pink Dot or this new Healy app. But still, they should still do fine, folks. So where can I find the training? So on the Healy YouTube page, which is Healy World Americas, there is an amazing page there that has various playlists. One of the playlists is called Healy for Beginners and Beyond. And there are several issues, there are several episodes there that give lots of great stuff. We also, by the way, all of the Tech Tip Tuesdays for the last over a year are there, and every one of those particular recordings are hyperlinked. So Jake and his team has done a great job of putting categories with a hyperlink as timestamp that you can click right to that particular category that's listed right there. A subject matter is put there, click on it and go right through it instead of listening to the whole hour.
Since we have some time here, I thought I'd go ahead and just show our Healy World Americas page on YouTube. So you can get to it by going just to HealyAmericas.com. It will take you right to this page. If you have not subscribed yet, there'll be a little subscribe button here on the right, which once you do that and enable notifications, anytime we add a new video to this, you'll get notified, which is great. It'll show up here in the notification section in the top right. But as Ken mentioned, say you want to look at last week's Tech Tip Tuesday. If you just click on this here, and then in the description, you'll see there's just a title, a summary at the top here. But if you click Show More, each of the questions that were asked during that call are all hyperlinked. So say you missed the call and you're interested in where do I place the coil, or how can I charge the Maghealy before the battery fully discharges? Let's just, if you click on this, the timestamp, it's going to take you. So it'll take you right to that question. So you can just kind of skim through here and just look at the ones that you don't know the answer to. And it's very, very easy to scroll through. And again, that's just one of the calls. But if you go to the playlist, and then you can see we have some support center basics. We have the Healy for Beginners and Beyond, which, oops, I didn't mean to go to, I wanted to go to the playlist. But yeah, here's all the recorded Healy for Beginners and Beyond. We're going to have another one here in the next week or two that we'll announce and we'll add to here. But it's pretty easy to kind of just go through each of the playlists. And we have what we have the most of are Tech Tip Tuesdays. And you'll see here, we started adding them last January to this call. So it's been, almost exactly a year, but we see we have plenty of content. If you have 48 hours to spend, you can kind of go through here or just pick out some of the ones that you want. And then if you have anything specific, you can actually search within this page. So if you go to the top here and search, this is going to search all of YouTube. But if you go just to this search right here, this is going to search within our little channel here. So it kind of narrows it down a little bit more, and it'll bring up all the videos that may have that term that you're searching for within them. So
that's a great resource. Yep. Miguel put it in there's a link in the chat here, guys. And by the way, folks, if you're on your PC or your Apple, you can save the chat to your computer. That's done by the three little dots down there next to the chat window, next to the little smiley icon. There's three little dots. Click on that. It's the more button essentially, and then it'll show save chat. And so at the end of the call, window pops up on your screen of your computer. It says the chat file is there, and then all these links will be there for you, and all the questions and whatever content that customer service has put in, all that's there. So another great resource, everyone.
Yep.
A good question. Maria says, when are you going to increase the Healy 2 font size or darken it color so that it's more visible? Yeah, changes are evolving all the time. So
yeah, we actually did increase at the very bottom. It wasn't a huge increase, but the percent at the bottom was increased in size a little bit, and the font's darker. I believe it was like a grayish before, but it's that was about at least a month ago or so. But yeah, as far as the other fonts and things, there's certainly changes and updates that'll come over time. But again, we're working to make this, of course, it's available across different platforms and different markets all across the world, in many different languages too. So there's a lot that goes into each of the updates.
And that takes time. So just think, I remember where we were a year ago, folks. I mean, Jake, you've been here for just a little over a year, yeah? When did you get started? It's been a year.
No, I've been here for over 2 years.
Wow. See what I told you? Healy time and reality time are just way different. But anyway, so I remember a year ago, and we have come a long way with the changes and the improvements. So I'm going to bring my smart device on because I want to show you, there's a question here that I think would be great to show in real time. And I'll be able to demonstrate. So essentially, this new app, as well as say some of the other functions, I want to show you how that's done. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, but one of the questions is about the battery function, and also, well, showing the battery function, but also showing the Bluetooth, how to turn it on and off. Some of those things may not be intuitive with this new app, but I want to show you how that's done. Okay, so let's share screen. Here we go.
Yep.
All right, and so basically I'm running a program right now, and I'll give you a little sneak peek of what I run when I'm on these calls, so you can kind of see that it's Healy assisting me. But I am running the memory program. So it's literally, I love this program, by the way. The clarity, the energy within the memory, I feel it, I love it. So, all right, so let me show you where we are. So if you take a look, I'm going to go ahead and shut off. Well, let's see. You can see at the top of the screen, the top right of the screen up there, there's a little battery icon. And that is actually a live button or a live function. So if I tap on it, it opens another window. And that new window shows your serial number, battery percentage, as well as here's how you turn that Healy Bluetooth chip off. There's a little toggle right there. I know in the old Pink Dot app, it was like right in the middle of the top of the screen. There was that little slide bar. Here, it is where it's at now. Now, this is still only relevant to firmware 229 and above. So if you have some of the older firmware 226, this function won't be operational. It doesn't have that ability to turn it off. So let me show you what it looks like when I do toggle it off. I tap that little button, toggles it off, and now it gives me a little instruction panel. Because if I switch it off, just going back in and switching it off or back on doesn't work. It tells you right here that if you need to tap the Healy button, the on button twice to reconnect the app and re-engage that Healy chip. You see that? So I'm not going to switch it off because I'm still running it. But anyway, there you go. Any other questions about the app you'd like to know live? We can certainly show you those things. Okay.
Yeah, that goes back to also, if your husband has that option available in his app, but you don't, it's likely that you don't have the most recent version of that app on your phone, because either it's in the old Pink Dot app, or if you're using the new Healy 2 app, which originally was called the Maghealy app, that was an option that wasn't available when that app first came out, to turn off the Bluetooth chip. So it was added, I think, I don't know, a couple months after that app was released, that option. So I would again, as Ken mentioned earlier, go to your app store, make sure that you have the most recent version. Next to open up the app from within the app store, see if it says update next to it, and make sure that you also, the most recent version of the Healy 2 app is 1.39.1. So I would just make sure you have that, because that feature is in there. So if you have the most recent version installed, you should be able to see that Bluetooth toggle on and off option.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's see. Judah says, I missed the Monday training session yesterday. Where is those recorded? I don't know what Monday. We didn't have a Monday training session. There are some private trainings that some of the other leaders do. But as far as anything with what we do here, no, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Okay. What else we got? Let's just go in and let's see. We can. I'm gonna bring my device back on just for the heck of it here, and we can do some peeks at some stuff. And because that question around the version, things like that, let me show you guys where you can see stuff within the app. I mean, the app now gives access to trainings and resources and all kinds of great stuff, including the version in which you're operating from. So let me show that to you. So back to the app. If you notice at the bottom of the screen down there, there are different pieces of information. The program groups, of course, what the screen's being displayed now. You have the expert area right there, which is if you have a custom program created by a time waiver expert, time waiver practitioner, this is where it would be. It would be housed on your device. And there's a operation for that to happen. Time waiver practitioners are independent practitioners. You can find them around the world, hire them to do certain actions for you as far as creating programs. They will ask you for your TAN number. The top of the screen up there, there is generate new expert TAN. That's the time waiver. It's your activation number. They'll need that number. So it's like a coordinates so that they can send the program they custom create for you right here to this screen. And this screen has the ability to house 12 custom programs, and they would be named however your practitioner names them or numbers them, whatever's you guys decide on, but this is where it would be. Next is the info center at the bottom of the screen. Click on that now. Here's Healy News, newsletters, the Healy Academy. Access is right there. Downloads such as documents and things are right there. The guide, which is actually the small little guide that comes in the box with your Healy, but then the instructions for use, the owner's manual, which is what, 42 pages or something like that.
48 pages, actually. I was just looking at it earlier today.
Okay, so it keeps growing. It's 48 pages. And then the help center down there for this help center, by the way, let me click on that. You got to go and log in. This is where you could get right to your help center. Okay. All right. Next one is the settings, the little gear on the far right. Now, here is where it says My Healy at the top, gives you that information about your Healy. This is where you can see what firmware you have. Remember I said firmware version 229 and above has the ability to toggle the Bluetooth on or off. Here's where you can find out what you got. Okay, this is 229 is what I have here. Bluetooth firmware, this is just information about the Bluetooth chip inside. Program version, just information about what your particular purchase is and the configuration. But also there's an active arrow next to that. If I tap on that active arrow, it's going to go and see if I have any updates. This is how you can manually force an update for your particular program version. So updates happen. And this is where it would happen. Either you get a notification at the top of the screen when you open your app, it says there's there's an update available, tap here or whatever, or here's where you could do it manually. Okay. And then you've got configuration. This is just some information that Healy uses to how your hardware is configured. Certifications, just stuff about this is basically a lot of this stuff around the electronics and certifications that are required globally. Okay. So below that, language, you can change the language to different languages. Here's the next thing is others. You can turn sound on or off, and you can enable or disable notifications. Sometimes at the end of your program, you may not want that catchy little tune to play. It's a nice little tune. But if you're in the midst of a conference of some sort and you're the speaker, you may not want. All right. That's how you toggle those on and off, just like so. And when you do toggle it on, the app's going to ask permission right there. If you don't allow it, then that function is not going to take hold. Okay. You have to click allow, and then it turns that function on. So these notifications are the app itself notifies you via your smart device. Every 10 seconds, when there's a frequency shift, changes going on within the app, it gives you a notification, even when you're not monitoring the app. Okay. All right. Privacy policies, terms of use, that kind of thing. Imprint. And then the very bottom down there is your app version, as Jake mentioned, 1.39.1. Okay. There you go. If there's any questions about this, I know I went through it kind of fast, but that's some good stuff, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
We had a couple questions that came in. One about, can you use the Maghealy app or Analyze app in airplane, I think in airplane mode, maybe they were talking about, because we were talking about Bluetooth earlier. So it depends on what you have loaded already. If you need to have your phone updated, things like that. But in general, when you put your phone into airplane mode, it turns off the Wi-Fi and the cellular, but it leaves that Bluetooth connection on. So if you're everything's updated on your phone and you're running a program, say in the Maghealy or a program in the Healy 2 app, maybe using microcurrent, something like that, and you just change it to airplane mode, and it needs that Bluetooth connection to transmit that program to your device. So in that case, yes, you would be able to use it to function properly. It's the tricky part is if you were needing to actually download some new programs or sync your database or something like that, which you wouldn't be able to do just via Bluetooth. So
yeah, remember folks, once you load when you put these apps on your smart device, they are essentially skeletal structures of the functional entity, skeletal structures, because they don't know what purchase you made, what edition of Healy you've got, nothing. And so then there's a process of activating your Healy and then synchronizing it with your apps, right? The Healy app as well as the Blue Dot app. And that process, once that process is done, and you've synchronized, you're running, everything's beautiful, you do not need access to the internet anymore. But while you're loading all that content, you do need access to the internet through your smart device. And that's either done via your cellular data or a Wi-Fi connection with your smart device. So, but once all that's done and you've been running and everything's great, And like Jake said, if there's no update that just came out, then you don't need to have you can be in airplane mode and you don't need to have access to your cell data. You don't need to have access to the internet. All you need is the Bluetooth signal. And when you turn airplane mode on, it depends on the configuration of your smart device, but it does not usually turn off your Bluetooth signal. You still have that on. If you go into airplane mode and it does turn off your Bluetooth signal, simply go in there and manually turn your Bluetooth on and then open your Healy and connect normally. So yes, it'll still work in airplane mode. In fact, sometimes that's recommended when you're amongst a room of 100 other Healy users so that you're not really getting other people's stuff. Okay. What is the benefit to turn off the Bluetooth? Great question. Some people have beliefs around that Bluetooth energy that is being transmitted out of whatever, whether it be earpods or a Bluetooth speaker or the Healy. Now, I want you guys to understand that the Bluetooth, the Healy is what's called BLE. The Bluetooth is what's called the BLE system, or in other words, Bluetooth low energy. It's the lowest transmitting energy of that 2.4 gigahertz signal, which is within the Bluetooth, but it's low energy, it has no amplitude. So in other words, it doesn't go very far. And that's kind of how you can tell how strong a Bluetooth signal is by its range. You know, people are advertising, oh my goodness, you know, we've got these earbuds that do 1,000 feet. Well, that's because there's a very strong Bluetooth signal being transmitted back and forth, which again, it's the amplitude of a frequency that is just as effective as the frequency itself. So people are concerned about EMF or the what we call the microwave frequencies, 2.4 gigahertz, 5G, that kind of thing. Okay, so all of that is within the millimeter waves or a frequency in which can penetrate the cell structures of our body, but it requires power. It requires amplitude to do so. Put an earbud right in your ear. Well, now you're really in close proximity. Plus you have an earbud that has a very long range. Yeah, now you're getting some amplitude in order to influence cellular structures. But Healy doesn't do that. It's got a BLE. In other words, most of the energy within that Bluetooth frequency is no more than ambient interference, which you have within your demographic, as opposed to harmful. So, but people still are extremely sensitive. And when you have high sensitivity, you still need to be able to turn that off. That's why Healy built in that function. Wants to be able to accommodate everybody. Okay, so you're able to turn that off. Now, I'll give you a little hint. Even if you don't have version 229, and you don't have that manual turn off function within the app, you can still start a Healy microcurrent program, one of the Healy 2 apps, programs, load all that to the Healy, and you can see it happening on the app. Once it starts to run, you can simply turn the app off, hard close it, and the program will run it in its entirety within the Healy hardware because it doesn't need the app. The app is just essentially a monitoring interface during the function. Healy will function all by itself. Once all that program information is loaded to the Healy, it runs all by itself. You can turn the app off and now you have no Bluetooth connection, but the Healy is still running its program. You can tell because the little green light will continue to flash, but the Bluetooth blue light will not. Okay. The way of working around that firmware issue. Okay. Where are we? Why does my battery show to be completely charged even though it's not? Because all of a sudden I got a message that my battery was almost depleted. A message where? So are you talking about the message from the Healy app or from your phone?
Yeah, I think maybe she's saying sometimes when if in the Healy 2 app, when you go to run a program, if your battery is really low, it might say there's not enough, whatever, please recharge. your battery, and it sounds like something's maybe needs to be recalibrated with her battery sensor. If it's showing 99%, but it's actually dying, maybe she needs to do a hard reset, and then put it through a few full charging cycles to kind of reset that sensor. What do you think, Ken? What else?
Yeah, I agree. So here's what I'm also finding after a while. Where we plug the Healy charger into the port here. These cords, by the way, guys, that plug in here, the cord itself, there's very, very small, fine wires in there, terminals essentially, that connect into the Healy port. And over time, in and out, plug it in, plug it out, and you're using maybe it with other devices as well, that those connections get compromised. And it's a very low amperage connection. So you may notice when you plug it in and you sit there and it's charging, and if you wiggle the wire a little bit, you'll see the light, the green light kind of flicker or even go dimmer or brighter because of your movement. That's an indication that some of that connection is not perfect, not great. So I always say, let's try a new cord, as well as let's try a new adapter box that's plugged into the wall. Try a new one and see how that performs. These boxes, the little adapter box you plug into the wall that you plug your USB into, those have different output current flow, different. Some of them are maybe only 500 milliamps, which is only a half a watt or half an amp. Or some of them are 2,500 milliamps, which is 2.5 amps. So the higher the amperage output, the better the charge, the quicker the charge. So I don't blame it on Healy always. I know, but don't always blame it on Healy. Check the hardware and the connections and things like that first. Second, as Jake mentioned, there is a reset process, which does require some charge cycles to do this full reset. It resets the algorithm between the Healy, the transmitted signal Healy sends, and the app's interpretation. Because the little battery icon in the app is just an algorithm. It's a mathematical equation. It's not actually, doesn't have anything that's sensing, like plugged in, hardwired to the battery. It's all done through an algorithm, mathematical equation. So you got to reset that to get it back to full range again, because what's being shown on your display may not be properly reflecting what the battery is actually set to. Okay. And there is a process for that. And looks like that process has been put into the chat. There's a link there. Okay. Let's see. Izzy's asking a question about the natural cycle. When advisor says to drink a third glass of water after the activation program, and it shows the time to begin the stabilization program as 1 minute after completion of the activation program, and third glass of water. So in other words, it's showing some action time after, there's not incoherence with the reminders and settings. Let's see, in the third glass of water, but then the reminder notification always comes up about 20 minutes later. Yeah. Remember, everything that's going on here, I don't know if you happen to be traveling or anything, but everything that's going on here is based on the clock on your phone, because that's where the app gets all of its information, is based on the app or the time on your phone. So I don't know that there isn't some kind of thing that might be shifted there.
I think the confused. So if you watch the training video again, I actually was just reviewing it again because it's a while since I've watched that actual video. But there's a recommendation is 1 cup 30 minutes before the activation, 1 cup 15 minutes before the activation, and then 1 cup 15 minutes after the activation program. But after the activation, you run the stabilization. So I would stick with that 15 minutes after the stabilization, I'm sorry, after the activation program for that third cup, don't try to do it right after. Stick with that, even though there's a stabilization program running next after the activation. So, but yeah, I see where there could be some confusion there as far as the timing and the reminders too.
Yeah. Okay. Maria says, when is the new quantum? Sorry, I forgot the actual name. Website to go effective. I saw that presentation last week and it looks very nice. So this is the Go Quantum module that's coming, and it's in the works. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, Jake.
I'm not sure. Maybe not, but I know it is coming soon. So
yeah, it's a cool system. It's still being refined. It was, you know how all things happen. It's a little teaser. They're very excited. And then it takes a minute to get going. I remember when we launched Healy, or working on launching Healy in the US, it was going to be like February, and then it was April, and then it was finally May, and we're all excited. So yeah, stay tuned. This Go Quantum is going to be pretty cool. I love it. Okay. Let's see. Few minutes left here, 7 minutes. We got, there's a comment here. I'm pretty sure I have the new firmware, but older version hardware. I have resonance and seem to always have problems toggling between opening my blue dot and pink dot. Say my top 5 includes gold cycle, and I want to go from blue dot to pink dot and run it solo instead of with a variety that came up. And okay, so first of all, I hear you. So like I showed you how to take a look at what your firmware is, what your software is. Okay, that's how you do it within the app. Secondly, you can't have the blue dot app and the pink dot app open at the same time. Okay, one of those two apps is going to hold the Bluetooth connection hostage within the Healy hardware. Healy's Bluetooth chip cannot be connected to multiple devices at once, only one. Now the new Healy app can run or can access multiple Healys or Maghealy, but still only one at a time. Okay, so the Bluetooth signal, aka Bluetooth chip and activation of such, will only be connected via one particular digital code to a particular app. So when you're switching from blue dot to pink dot, you've got to hard close the blue dot and remember what programs were revealed in the scan. Okay, I always write them down. So in other words, I do a scan on whatever program group it is, whatever database. And let's say that's the gold cycle. Okay, so it's going to give me the top 5 programs within the gold cycle. I write them down. Whatever the top one is the one I want to run. Okay, great. Fine. I already wrote down all 5. I hard close the blue dot. I allow the Healy to shut off if it's going to do so. Now watch the blue dot. Watch the blue dot, the flashing Bluetooth light on the Healy. If it does not go off, that means it's still connected to an app somewhere. And trying to open this Healy IMF program app, it will not connect, or vice versa. Okay, so you make sure you hard close the blue dot app, make sure all the other apps are hard closed, open the Healy app program, and then load whatever gold cycle program you want. It will be more faithful for you. Believe me, just know the process. You got to slow down a little bit. Some people are just like boom, 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 quick, quick, quick. And it's a process. You got to make sure to go through the proper sequence, proper alignment. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Jake, you want to add anything to that?
No, you got to be, careful switching between the two. So
Izzy kind of commented the same thing. Yeah. Thanks for your help, guys. All right. Let's see. Also, if we can use Maghealy or Healy when we are flying on airplane. So again, that's there's a bit of an FAA gray area. You know, I in some airlines, if they know you're running some kind of a transmitter device, they may not like what you're doing. Just my opinion there. I don't usually broadcast what I'm doing on an airplane with the Healy. I do go through security, by the way, with my Healy and my microcurrent, everything connected. And I promise you 98% of the time they pat me down. It's like, that's okay. Yeah, maybe I should take it off and get through and then be done, but it's okay. I always leave early. Anyway, yeah, you know, you're running a closed loop system with the microcurrent on your body. This is just my opinion, not corporate's position, but I run it on the airplanes, and I do not take a Maghealy on the airplane. I mean, I don't have it running. I'll take it with me, but I won't have it running on the airplane. I just decided not to do that. Okay. Let's see. Maria says there's a question about last week. The lady who was on with you all said that they used a Healy for her granddaughter, which helped her in her 3rd-degree burns. Okay, so yeah, that was a personal opinion of a member. How'd she do it? This is, again, we can't really advise on how to solve any physical things with a person. But again, if we're looking at addressing the body, Healy addresses the body in the most direct form via the microcurrent. And you can apply the microcurrent with the wristbands or the sticky pad. So let's just look at it logically for a moment. If we're looking at addressing any condition within the body, whether it be skin, bone, tissue, mental, physical, emotional, we can go to the region of the body in which this issue is taking place. If it's emotional, a lot of times that's within our mind, but some emotions are harbored within the body. So we can actually apply frequencies via the microcurrent with sticky pads directly to the area of the body that's influenced. So, so just use that kind of logic when we're trying to decide what programs to use at where and how. So again, we're dealing with particular conditions I can't really comment on. I didn't experience that. I always give principles, by the way, so that you can apply them in any condition. All right. So let's see. 1 more minute. Lightning round. You got anything, Jake?
Did you cover the part about is the coil safe to use for children? So microcurrent is one of the warnings. You're not supposed to use it according to our official instructions for use for children, but the coil doesn't have that same contraindication listed there. So that's good news for you if that's the answer that you're looking for. And then back to that question about the airlines or it says, can you take your Healy through the scanners at the airport? The machines are more powerful now. So even though they may be more powerful, they're not going to harm the actual components within the Healy device. We have probably hundreds or maybe more, thousands of people traveling with their Healys all the time, every day going through the scanners. They're not, those scanners aren't designed or meant to damage electronics in general. So Ken, you could probably talk more about that, but
yeah. If that was the case, your cell phone wouldn't work anymore on the other end because the delicacy of some of the circuitry within the mobile device. Healy's quantum sensor as well as noise generator are IC components, which are solid. I mean, they're solid. They're not going to get hurt. So you're fine. You're fine. None of this system is designed to damage. It would require what's called an EMP or electromagnetic pulse, high power, high energy. But yeah, that's not happening. that last part about the coil, is it safe for children? Yes. And the Maghealy, again, it's all magnetic energy. It is magnetic energy, which is the least invasive, and it's atmospheric. So yay. Great news. I love it. Thank you guys for being here. Jake, thank you very much for your expertise. Always a pleasure. Miguel, you are a rock star in the background. Much love to you. You guys tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for our What's Up Wednesday. And stay tuned for the next Healy for Beginners and Beyond. That'll be announced. Take a look in the Telegram group as well as the social media platforms. Keep an eye on those things for what's coming up next. All right, guys. Have an amazing time tonight. Thanks for being here. Big loves. Bye, everybody.